APEC Minister stands firm on Maserati Bentley purchases. Menyamya Teachers speak of struggles as country waits. And disciplinary forces clean up Wabag town.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for the news this Wednesday. APEC Minister Justin Tichenko has stood firm on the government's move to import the much-debated Italian sports cars. Tichenko says the Maseratis are of APEC standard and have been purchased following normal procurement processes. He said today he was disappointed with recent comments from members of the parliamentary opposition.
Speaking this morning at APEC House, Minister Tichenko brushed aside recent comments made by members of the opposition.
We're following the sector.
He says the Maseratis are standard cars for the APEC summit. Tichenko says despite the outcry led by the opposition, the government is ready to host a successful APEC come November.
The last thing the government wants is to keep these luxury vehicles. We are not interested in having these vehicles at all. These vehicles will be sold off and will no longer be the property of the government and will be no cost to the government at the end of the day. So let's not make an issue out of nothing, and let's move on and get on with the job of promoting our country when all the world will be watching.
Since the Italian sports cars arrived in the country, the opposition has accused the government of spending much needed money for other health and education priorities to purchase the cars. This morning, the minister responsible for APEC argued that proper procurement processes were followed.
The Department of the Papua New Guinea government have given us the directions and procedures to follow for the purchase of all procurement when it comes to procuring cars, procuring contractors, doing whatever. We're following the set guidelines that the Finance Department has given us, which is very tedious and which is very transparent, and that's what we're doing.
Meanwhile, earlier in the day, the Korean embassy presented 100 flat-screen TV monitors for all APEC venues. Korean Ambassador Kang Kim-gu says more support will be given to the government to host APEC.
Today's donation is another hallmark of our close bond between our two countries.
APEC Chair and Director General Sir Charles Lepani was also present to witness the presentation.
Hey, there you go.
Jack Lapava, Junior National EMTV News.
Yesterday, members of the parliamentary opposition said the purchase of the 40 Maseratis was obviously an agreed-to purchase if it had been approved by the National Executive Council. They also revealed a quotation for the purchase of 3 luxury Bentley vehicles, collectively totaling over 2 million kina. EMTV News has confirmed the 3 Bentleys arrived in Port Moresby today. The opposition maintains normal procurement processes were not followed.
Was it tendered? Was it tendered to the public? That's what we really need to know, because it is also part of the legal APEC legal regime that's been established that important purchases be subjected to public tender. So we've got Ella Motors, Broco Motors, PNG Motors, all here. They would be interested in participating. Have they been in all these motor car dealers, new car dealers? Not spare parts dealers like these people from whom the vehicles have been purchased. They are here. They want to participate. So we want to know. Everything we have at the moment suggests there was no tender. They've broken their own law. Why have they done that?
There's some documentation, not specific to the Maserati, but there's another scandal, and that's the Bentleys. There's another 3 luxury vehicles I've again obtained documentation and invoice of. So that is the provision of that I've seen in NEC. But the Maseratis I haven't seen, but we have been informed. So again, even if NEC approves, it must go to public tender because the law requires it to avoid people stealing.
All 20 teachers at the Menyamya Primary School in Morbe have also been affected by continuous pay cuts. According to the school's head teacher, Mondi Alimu, the lowest one teacher they received was 5 kina. Some of the teachers in the district have seen pay cuts for more than 4 fortnights.
Deduct 250 kina.
Emeng Bomi is the deputy head teacher at the Menyamya Primary School. He confirmed that teachers here and other schools in the Menyamya district have also been facing problems with their pay.
We face a lot of problems in moving to the schools, and a lot of work we plus working sleepless. Na plenty problem we plus facing. So government needs to look at this, but still they deduct our pay.
For the past 2 weeks, MTV has been following reports of teachers' pay cuts. More than 200 teachers have reported that they've seen cuts in their pays, some for more than 3 fortnights. This week, we spoke to teachers at this remote school.
Can all degrees can go down straight, go down Pamlo straight. Also, me play no kisim good pay. Me play work or some slave or kind of.
Me, I think 7 per fortnight deduction. So big per deduction. Me also father and me concern. Father and me talk lo got the family too.
Head teacher of Menyamya Primary School, Mundialemo, whom we spoke to off camera, said a teacher at his school reported only being paid 5 kina.
All schools in the Menyamya district, with the teachers in the Menyamya district, we face big problem in pay deduction. They deduct 250 kina, 180 kina, 70 kina. That's too much. That's big.
Lucy Kopana, National MTV News, Leh.
A PNG Teachers Association member, David Numbaming, refutes claims that he is not a PNG TA member and he does not have the legal standing to talk on behalf of the teachers. Numbaming recently called on the PNG TA National Secretary, Ugwalubu Moana, not to represent teachers, stating that he has no legal standing due to a pending court case on the legality of his position. However, Ugwalubu rebuts, stating Numbaming is not a PNG TA member and he should not talk. Numbaming says he contributes 45 kina of his salary to PNG TA for the last 15 years and he has the right to talk. He was also granted leave by the Waigani National Court in 2017 to talk on behalf of teachers.
To decide our membership to PNG TA. Moana has got no respect for the courts. He's always abusing teachers' resources. Example like this over deduction. So with that, the teachers are not also happy with him stating that it is a fault of the Alaska payroll system.
The Leh District Court for the 4th time has adjourned the case of the 4 Chinese men who entered the country legally. The court will hear their plea on 19th of October this year. The delay of the court decision was due to the absence of an interpreter. All the defendants don't understand English or Tok Pisin. Magistrate Edward Kupo ordered the defendants, their counsel and the police prosecutor to have an interpreter present in court by Friday this week.
The delay of a court case involving 4 Chinese men for breaching the Migration Act since July this year at Leh District Court was due to the unavailability of an interpreter. Leh's District Court Magistrate Edward Kupo this morning asked the counsel representing the Chinese men and the police prosecutor to have an interpreter available in court by Friday this week. Kupo also asked the Immigration and Citizenship Authority office in Leh to point out the laws breached by these Chinese men that warrant them to appear in court. These men originate from Fujian province, China. They were employed with the Sunny Limited Company, a Chinese-owned factory in Leh that produces lipo juice and purified water. In July, the Leh police, through the assistance of PNG Immigration in Leh, arrested these men on 3 separate charges for illegally entering the country. They were charged for entry into the country without valid permit or visa, false information on the entry permit, and were in possession of an entry permit without lawful authority. 3 of these men were released on bail at 2,100 kina each 3 months ago, while another was released at 2,800 kina. They are currently out on bail at 9,900 kina. Magistrate Kupo told the Office of Immigration to check the defendants' documents, including their passports, and point out what is missing and the laws breached by these 4 Chinese men. He said there's no point conducting a trial if the documents are clear. Meanwhile, the case was adjourned to the 19th of October this year. Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Leh.
Landowners and people living at the Ilimo farm area were served with an eviction notice by the NCDC on Friday. Today, the local landowners met with delegates from the central provincial government to discuss this issue. The landowners claim the Ilimo farm comes under the Karukuhiri district of Central Province and NCD has no right to evict them.
On Friday last week, the people living at the Ilimo farm area were surprised when they received the eviction notice from NCDC. They were notified on the eviction notice to vacate the area within 21 days. Ex-Ilimo residents, local landowners and block holders were all there to show their frustration and air their grievances. Landowner and ILG chairman Foxy Kayaka Hehori says the people living in the area are local landowners from the Behori clan, ex-Ilimo workers and block holders. And if the NCDC wants to take over the land for development purposes, they should do it transparently.
Talk to us as landowners, and also talk to the local level government, which is the government on the ground, I believe. My only concern is if the landowners are taking sides with the other side, we have to unite and work together for the betterment of all, not only one individual person.
Officers from the Central Governor's Office, together with some delegates from the Central Provincial Government, were there to hear the people's grievances. Deputy Provincial Administrator Edward Kila told them that the land was reserved for the Central Provincial Government when the old Ilimo farm was liquidated, and they will do everything they can to help the people.
The outgoing Governor Kilauda, also in his wisdom, said, all right, let's not want to evict him altogether, but let's sit down and talk. So that's specifically just Ilimo, ex-Ilimo workers and the indigenous landowners, only talk to Miarem.
Deputy Governor Desmond Baira assured the people that the provincial government will face this issue head-on and will make sure they get a court order to stop the eviction. He also made an appeal to NCDC to put the eviction on hold.
Right now, the police are doing the eviction, and people are not happy. You know, this is Central Province, anything can happen, so I'm appealing on behalf of the government and my governor that the eviction should be stopped for a while until such a time that all have come to an agreement.
Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We go for a first break now, but stay tuned for more of today's other stories when we come back. Welcome back. Members of the PNG Defence Force soldiers and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary led the clean-a-thon in Wabag town yesterday in preparation for two upcoming events in Enga province. The events are the Highlands Governors Conference, which will be held on Thursday, and launching of Enga's autonomy on Friday this week. A popular betel nut market just outside Wabag town will be closed for the events to take place.
The two disciplinary forces led by their commanders led the clean-a-thon as early as 6 o'clock yesterday morning. The town residents later joined in and helped clean the town from Power's Buai Market into the town area. While cleaning the town, police made awareness that there will be liquor ban during the events this week. Governors from the 7 Highlands provinces will be in Wabag to discuss their development plans this Thursday. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, state ministers, MPs and dignitaries will also be in Wabag this week to launch the receiving of greater autonomy. Meanwhile, those who are found to be littering in the township of Wabag and are also selling, buying or drinking beer will be arrested and charged accordingly. Enga Provincial Police Commander Joseph Tondop applauds the two disciplinary forces for their work in cleaning the town. Tondop urged residents to be mindful of their rubbish and keep the town clean at all times. Vasanatha Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Proper storage of vaccination kits is a big problem in the country, with a limited number of storage facilities for vaccines in PNG. An Israeli company called Anyway Solutions has donated 5 vaccination refrigerators to the Enga province.
With the polio outbreak in PNG, mass vaccination of children has been undertaken, but to eradicate the virus, proper storage of vaccination kits at the right temperature is important. An Israeli company, Anyway Solutions, stabilization experts in building quality roads in third world countries, have donated 5 vaccination refrigeration units worth $5,000 each and imported from the United States of America. These were handed over to the Enga provincial government. The 5 districts in Enga, Kandep, Kompiam Ambum, Laiga Pogara, Wapenamanda and Wabag will have the vaccination refrigerators to hold the vaccinations at the correct temperatures, so it does not lose its quality after the cold chain process. The fridges come with solar panels to provide power, outdoor lights and indoor lights, all to be powered by the solar kits. David Dudu of Anyway Solutions says the company has been in Enga province since 2011, building the Wabag to Wapenamanda Road, and now have another project in the Sac Valley.
This small donation, is a small token for our friendship and the connection to the people of Enga and for the benefits.
The company gave the refrigeration kits as a show of appreciation to the Enga people for the past 7 years that they have been working in the province, which has become a second home to them. The provincial government, when asked what they needed by Anyway Solutions, requested the need for the vaccination freezers, in which the company were much obliged to purchase.
To give for the peoples of Enga, because we are a part of them. We feel after all these years, we are feeling that we are a part of Enga. So when we give this, we are not saying we are giving for ourselves, we are giving for our own peoples.
The refrigerators will boost the capacity of the provincial government to provide vaccination to all areas in the province in the future.
The rural areas that we have in the province come down here to collect vaccine here in town, and they go back. And the potent, the power blonsla, vaccines have a go lose nothing low road.
The provincial works manager was happy with the gesture by a road construction company. Even the local contractor, K-Star Limited, which was working with the Anyway Solutions, was happy with the gesture.
Donating this to House Bill here, you have seen the work we have done, and anyway, you have done a wonderful job in Enga.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
Over in West New Britain, following the launch of the country's first SME incubation centre in Kimbe, the province is hoping to see a boost in SME activities. Provincial Administrator Williamson Hosea said the SME sector is at the forefront of economic development, and the incubation centre is a step forward in establishing proper infrastructure as well as managing funds and training for local businesses in the province.
Labelled as a milestone achievement for economic prosperity in West New Britain, the signing of the joint establishment and management of the Kimbe SME Business Incubation Centre will pave way for better development within this sector of the province. Part of the national government's SME policy, the Incubation Centre will act as a starting point for small businesses, providing the necessary infrastructure, proper business and financial management training.
It sets a new chapter for our economic prosperity now and into the future, particularly the establishment of our SME Incubation Centre.
Small Medium Enterprise Corporation Managing Director Stephen Marken says there have been many challenges in fully implementing the policy.
As the government under the 2018 budget has allocated 30 million, but it was very difficult to get that funding early in the year so we could start working on this initiative, but it's come anyway. We've got 7 million out of the 30 million we were supposed to have got.
According to Mr. Marken, the government's vision of having 450,000 established local businesses by 2030 is an ambitious target, and he urged all provinces to show interest in making this a reality.
No one agency of the government giving the resources challenges we have can do that. It's only by cutting up these big targets into small pieces by working through partners such as the provincial administration we can do that. In any case, the SMEs are in the provinces, it's not in Waigani.
Meanwhile, for West New Britain, they are now taking steps towards achieving this target.
We give some hope to our small people. We're always talking about the Chinese and all these big companies here, but what about our small people? And that's where our government is coming from, the provincial government, the Motherwell government. They are more focused on they want to develop the small people. Get them into a more organized central place so that they can operate out from there and learn from there, and maybe they can venture out later on.
The SME Incubation Center, once established, will be the first in the country. Steadily Over Junior, National EMTV News.
The Lowland Agricultural Experimental Station in Karavat, East New Britain, has celebrated 90 years of agriculture research in the country. The station was established under the German administration in the 1930s to help develop coconut plantations and later became the central location for agriculture research in the country. But since its establishment, there have been concerns raised about how the work of agriculture has been neglected by successive PNG governments.
In the 1930s, there were small agriculture research stations established in various parts of the country. Their primary focus was to assist local farmers with agriculture methods accomplished through scientific research. The Lowland Agriculture Experimental Station, located in Karavat on the outskirts of Kokopo town, is one of these agriculture stations that still exists. The station was established under the German colonial rule to support the once thriving coconut industry in the New Guinea Islands region. In the years that followed, it was transformed into an agriculture research station, concentrating on food crops, fruits and nuts and livestock. This small but significant gathering yesterday marked the 90th anniversary of the small agriculture station.
This land here had been declared waste and vacant by the German administration prior to the First World War. And that expansion and research could only be driven further if there was some research facilities available in country. Because this land was waste and vacant and available, this is where agricultural research started in Papua New Guinea.
Like any other old government stations in the country, here the officers have been battling with poor resources to meet the demand on the work of agriculture. More so, government funding reaching the research center to pursue new agriculture innovations have dwindled over the years, leading to a demise of its primary role and the work of agriculture in general.
Research in PNG has often been criticized. Many things have been researched, and quite a lot of those have never been written up.
Narik Karavat is an example of years of government neglect in the renewable sector in recent times, and its operation is just a shadow of its glory days in the 1930s. Most of the support to this station comes from foreign donors.
If you can translate the research, the data, the information that you collect, and make sure that our own people take that information, convert it to a business approach, that's the most important part of our livelihood. The sustainability comes from this angle.
But despite all the negativity, there have been some success in recent years. For the first time in many years, LAES Karavat have established a garlic nut factory after researchers have proved the nut is a lucrative business. For many who have lived and worked here, it's a story that justified the relentless efforts and contributions achieved in its 90 years journey in the PNG's agriculture sector. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Global communities yesterday celebrated something very close to everyone's hearts and stomachs, that of course, food. World Food Day was celebrated at the Sir John Guy's Stadium in Port Moresby. It saw a variety of both deliciously cooked and uncooked food being displayed for people to see, eat and buy.
The fight against hunger is a global call. The adversities against humanity need greater attention in this changing era. Poverty and conflict form the main causes of global hunger. Climate change, economic slowdown, natural disasters and pests and diseases are others. Speaking at the event, Agriculture and Livestock Minister Benny Allen says climate change effects such as El Nino-induced droughts are a common climate change-related threat to Papua New Guinea, which reduces food supply.
Such prevailing events pose greater risk to PNG's agriculture and natural resources, affecting food support for our people. We need sustainable food systems that promote responsible and sustainable practices, focusing on efficient resources use and management, protection and conservation of the environment, and application of climate smart farming techniques.
The minister said the government has given the agriculture sector the #1 priority to grow and drive the economy despite the challenges. Agriculture is the foundation and heart of the rural Papua New Guinea economy, with over 85% of the 8 million people depending on the sector for their livestock.
Making agriculture the primary sector to economic development is indeed giving a golden opportunity to our people to own the economy and be masters of their own destiny. Our people will become the center of attention in our efforts towards modern and international competitive agriculture.
Food and Agriculture Organization country representative Ken Shimizu said the FAO's mandate is to end hunger and malnutrition to ensure food security for all. In Papua New Guinea, some very remote communities suffer from malnutrition.
In Papua New Guinea, who also suffer from malnutrition and also food insecurity. So, I would have to say that, it's not true to say that PNG is okay, overall. There are certain communities in remote areas, especially, where they have issues with food security. And also, again, it's about having access to safe and nutritious food at all occasions.
Shimizu also said that Sustainable Development Goal #2 is about zero hunger. Therefore, the FAO's aim is to work towards achieving a world of zero hunger by year 2030. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
A local coconut SME in Wommack has created history by being the first in the country to be accredited through HACCP. Wommack Mandol Investments Limited yesterday received its accreditation, the first for the emerging coconut industry in Papua New Guinea. The accreditation process was made possible through joint efforts by the Coconut Industry Corporation and Pacific Horticultural and Agricultural Market Access Program.
In a small ceremony in Wommack today, coconut SME Wommack Mandol Investments Limited celebrated a milestone, becoming the first to receive HACCP accreditation. The Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points accreditation is one that is an approach to food safety that assesses the various stages of production to ensure that high safety quality standards are met. Senior officials from the Papua New Guinea Coconut Industry Corporation were in Wommack for the certification presentation. KIK Managing Director Dr. James Kayulo was pleased with the outcome, which he said bode well for the coconut industry in the country and especially coconut SMEs who are now looking to produce high-value coconut products.
I think this will be a journey that will start today, but I'm very pleased this morning that the provincial administrator himself and with this DAL advisor, I'm not sure whether he's here, but they are here.
Despite being known for other commodities such as cocoa and vanilla, the APEC Province Administrator, Dr. Clement Malau, acknowledged the strides made by coconut SMEs in the province and committed to working closely with them in promoting agriculture and the potential of agricultural produce.
Now, all that is something inside of agriculture, including copra, including long, plant baby, supporting more line of place, work strong on agriculture because
the man of the moment today was Anton Areka, the man behind the success of Wommack Mandol Investments' virgin coconut oil products. According to Mr. Areka, being the first coconut SME in the country to receive HACCP certification was a major boost to the company and is now looking forward to using this as a stepping stone to access more markets both in PNG and overseas.
This is a paper and this is a step. This is a paper and this is a pathway. Now, only give him me. Emotion key now me only go inside. Go to the house. Me too, me like sit down one them. All this developed nations. All this are finished. Now only flooding market long. All product also long.
Wommack Mandol's achievement today has highlighted the potential that the humble coconut has in Papua New Guinea. And according to the KIK board, this is another positive step in accessing more markets for high-value coconut products from PNG.
Today's event it's a milestone, but it's also telling us that we need to work in earnest to ensure that all of our SMEs that we are encouraging to take up the work of producing high-value coconut products and exporting it and obviously utilizing it within the country are actually certified.
And currently, 3 are certified. 1 has received their certification today, which is Wani and Mendel. And we got Rabal Visio and New Guinea Organics that are online. So those are the 3 that have gone through the first inspection, and the certificates are ready to be delivered.
Mary Batulo, National EMTV News, Wabag.
You're at National EMTV News this Wednesday. Stay tuned for more stories coming up after this break. Welcome back to the news. The 2018 United Nations Fund for Population Activities report launched today in Port Moresby shows the power to choose the number, timing and spacing of children can bolster economic and social development. The UNFPA is the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency. Today it published the State of World Population 2018 report. The report basically talks about reproductive health care for women and youths in countries under the UN.
UNFPA supports reproductive health care for women in more than 150 countries, which are home to more than 80% of the world's population, and census, data collection and analysis, which are essential for development planning. Papua New Guinea's population growth is at 3.1% and economic growth at 2.4%. With these statistics, PNG has to manage its population so it can provide for them economically. Speaking at the event, the Secretary for the Department of National Planning and Monitoring, Konya Samuel, says the theme of the event is the power of choice, its reproductive rights and demographic transition.
This theme is of much significance because of PNG's demographic transition has been slow, and according to recent census and a demographic health survey, mortality and fertility have stagnated since the 1980s and the 1990s. Historically, based on data from all census and surveys, the country's transition began in the 1960s, when high mortality as well as fertility rates began falling rapidly due primarily to the advent of the modern medicines, improvement in water, sanitation, nutrition, general health, income earning opportunities, and accessibility to the essential government services, among others.
Samuel also said that PNG's demographic transition has been slow, and according to recent census, the demographic health survey, mortality and fertility have segmented since the 1980s.
The 2011 census further confirms that progress in mortality and fertility reductions have slowed with very little progress. The knowledge and attitude and practice study of family planning observed from the demographic health survey suggests that there is a significant demand for family planning services in PNG.
Also speaking at the ceremony, International Organization for Migration Chief of Mission, Lawrence Bonial, says population is fundamental in everything.
Reproductive health and education is very important and is absolutely critical in this. But I think what's also important is making it clear to the children and our youth that they can have a vision of where they sit in society and the growth of PNG as well. So it's not only about reproductive health. If we can educate the children and make them feel a part of the greater society so that they can then plan around not only their family goals, but their goals and role within society and community, and they can see the longer vision and share the vision of PNG, and then have the access to rights and access to reproductive health.
Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Another story on the UNFPA State of World Population Report, Florence John Duo highlights reproductive rights, a point highlighted by the United Nations Fund for Population Activities.
No country can yet claim to have made reproductive rights a reality for its people. This was a point emphasized by the United Nations Population Fund at the launch of one of its flagship publications, The State of World Population. The PNG Family Planning Policy 2014 outlines the need for comprehensive and integrated family planning service delivery in PNG. High fertility, besides being recognized as a key population issue affecting socio-economic development in the country, is a major obstacle to poverty reduction as PNG's population continues to rise.
In the 1994 Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development, governments committed to enabling people to make informed choices about their sexual and reproductive health as a matter of fundamental human rights.
The extent to which couples and individuals have real choices about whether and when to have children reiterates the power of choice. The PNG Family Planning Policy encourages family planning options to be promoted to stabilize population growth rates in the country. It also encourages the PNG health sector to support couples and individuals to decide freely and responsibly on the number and spacing of their children.
In fact, reproductive rights are integral to realizing the sustainable development goals, and that is the power of choice.
The way forward is to realize the importance of reproductive rights and make these rights a reality for the people.
For every individual and couple, no matter where and how they live and how much they earn. This includes dismantling all the barriers, whether economic, social, or institutional, that inhibit free and informed choice.
Florence John Duo, National EMTV News.
Over 2,000 customers of Vision City now know their blood sugar and blood pressure levels thanks to 2K Medical Center for providing a free service. Nurse in charge Mark Joseph says since the start of the Expo, they have been busy with customers lining up for a free test.
By Saturday this week, the number of customers expected to be checked for their blood sugar and blood pressure tests should stand at 3,000, according to nurse in charge Mark Joseph.
We're serving more than 2,000 patients now, as of now, and then usually estimated of 200 plus people per day come here for a blood sugar and blood pressure check. They're saying it's good, it's a good service, and then of course they're getting it for free. And then of course, aside from getting for free, they're getting their health to check, okay?
Mark says thanks to events like the Vision City Trade Expo, 2K Medical Center is able to promote its services and attract customers.
Also, plenty of people are high blood, they also have high blood sugar too. Of course, we immediately refer them to our clinic for further check. It's a win-win situation for us. Of course, we serve the people of Papua New Guinea for free, and aside from that, we're promoting our medical center. Okay.
He says not only did customers line up to take a free test, but they also had other medical questions to ask.
Specialized doctors, specialized professionals, and we have for example, X-ray, ultrasound scan, and then most of our blood sugar or blood check are there available, and then what else? We have the pharmacy.
2K Medical Center will have its stall open to interested individuals at the Vision City Trade Expo, especially those willing to find out what their blood sugar and blood pressure levels are. The Vision City Trade Expo will end this Saturday. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
This is Wednesday's news. Chuka Sports is next. Don't go away.
Chuka Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Hunters program has been running for 5 years and has proven to be effective. Since the Hunters' inception in the Queensland Intra Super Cup, 19 players have received offers from clubs overseas. This year will see the highest number of players leaving to join other clubs.
The program has helped many players excel in their rugby league careers, the most notable being Melbourne Storm Justin Olam. They have proven to be a force in the Queensland Cup, securing their first premiership last year. The Hunters' inclusion in the Intra Super Cup has raised the standard of competition in the country.
When the Hunters come and play, they can be a part of that level. But certainly the game's, it's physical, it's skillful. It's certainly a lot more skillful than what it was 10 years ago, 100%. They're putting on all the plays, the block plays, chip kick, all that, ball handling, excellent. And it's only going to get better. The more players that be a part of that Hunter system, and then they come back into their local system, it's only going to improve the competition locally.
With the Hunters' participation in the Q Cup competition, this also sets a platform for local referees to one day officiate at the Intra Super Cup level.
We've got to make sure the officiating lifts with it at the same level, because for the game to keep going up, we've got to make sure the officiating is going with it.
After witnessing the level of refereeing by local refs during the PNG Residents and New South Wales Country Under-23 match, former NRL top referee Shane Hayne believes PNG refs have the capability to officiate matches in higher competitions.
I have no doubt that the officiating is at that same level here locally. We've got to get those referees to another level. So when the Hunters come and play, they can be a part of that level.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The NCD Public Servants Netball Association will be sending teams in 5 divisions in the Pan-Pacific Masters Games on the Gold Coast, and Telecom PNG has donated 11,400 kina for their travel expenses.
Telecom PNG has donated in cash to help the Women's Public Servants Netball Association of the National Capital District. As a state-owned entity, Telecom PNG saw it as an obligation to help public servants, especially in sports, which provide team bonding outside of work. Telecom PNG National Retail Manager Amos Tepi said the amount of 11,000 kina 400 was to help them to travel down to the Gold Coast for their tournament, which they have been taking part for in the last 10 years.
They've sent a request to us asking if there can be any assistance given to them to go down to Australia, and we feel that it's right that we need to help our public servants, and sport is one of those areas that public servants need to go in and embrace, and also that brings development back and productivity level in the workplace.
Ralai Benedict, representing the association, was happy with the donation, saying it would have been hard to travel down to Australia for the Pan-Pacific Masters Games because of high levy fees for travel.
On behalf of the Public Servants Netball Association, we, the representatives from Department of Finance, want to say thank you to Telecom. Servants Netball Association attends this event biannually, and the last event we attended, the last games we attended, we brought back a bronze medal. So we're looking forward to gold this time.
She said that the team was preparing well with almost 100 players in the traveling contingent, with teams in the 35, 40, 45, 50 and 55 divisions, promising that they would be traveling down to better their last performance, which earned them a bronze medal.
And going down, and we are in 5 divisions, team 30, 35, 40, 45, 55. 50 to 55.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports will be back with more stories after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. It's been confirmed a sellout crowd of 26,500 screaming fans have bought tickets to Tonga's historic clash with the Kangaroos this weekend. Many of those fans met the team at Mount Smart today, where a cunning plan was hatched.
3 days out from what could be Tonga's biggest ever sporting win.
Fans arrived at today's training session in the hundreds. Not quite the turnout they expected, but certainly a welcome boost for players.
Obviously the boys are pretty excited, having a few fans turn up and watch our training session, and I guess Saturday night will be pretty bigger.
The atmosphere at their World Cup clash against England was dubbed one of the best ever. But because fans were silenced by England for most of the contest, there's now a plan to keep the crowd in full voice. Fan events have actually been used to practice songs that'll be pulled out on game day. The plan came about after Tongan players expressed how much they feed off the noise.
And so we've been working aligned with them so that what are the needs of the players and what do they want. So it's just the singing during those quiet times.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think the boys would love that. It's all about, obviously the Tongan people. And
because it lifts you guys, eh?
Yeah, definitely does.
The result of that England game obviously wasn't part of the plan, so over 26,000 fans have pulled together to try and make sure Saturday will be different.
And that ends Shukai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Shukai Sports. Shukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast now for the southern region. A shower or two in Port Moresby and Daru, showers in Kerema, fine weather in Alotau, and a shower or two as well in Popondetta.
Weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 17th of October 2018. On behalf of the entire MTV News team right around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.